I get discouraged for sure. And I will quit fighting at some point. And that point is when the first shovel of dirt hits the top of my box 6 feet down.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to COS Indiana Live. My name's Dale Parrish. I'm the virtual program coordinator for Convention of States here in Indiana. And I want to welcome you to our broadcast this evening. We've got a doozy for you tonight, folks. Not going to hesitate at all and bring on my co-host, Ken Kashuba. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Dale. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Hopefully we got it all together tonight. a lot of last minute things, but that's just the way it is sometimes. So Ken will be, among other things, will be monitoring the viewer comments and questions that we may have. So if you are viewing this evening, either through Facebook or through YouTube, feel free to, if you would like, to submit a comment or a question, and we'll try our best to address that. And Ken will be taking a look at those. Ken, I always like to throw the numbers up here. This is number 232 broadcast. You've been along for the past 96, so we're moving right along, aren't we?
Yeah, it's kind of like sledding. It's been all downhill from there, right?
Yeah. You might say that. Yes. We're gonna talk about this again later on in the broadcast, but I want to remind everybody our Surge Day is coming up this week on the 22nd. It was scheduled for the 7th, but got changed. So we're going to be down at the Capitol building this Thursday at 9 a.m. I believe is when we're shooting to open up down there. So if you can make it, we'd love to have you down there. So
that's true.
Ken, very quickly, you want to give us a little information on that QR code up there?
Sure will. That little QR code above my head there is now directly linked to our subscriber platform. So no longer do you need to submit an email, your name and email address and get a response from us. By going to that QR code tonight, you'll go directly to our platform where you can join the group. So we encourage you to do that. We've already got some special things in there for our subscribers. We'll let those people who are there verify that. But we've got a few things in there already for subscribers to download, and we will also be adding the complete interview that we will get snippets of tonight to that subscriber platform as well. So at the end or anytime that you do subscribe, you can look forward to getting the full interview that we pulled some pieces from tonight. So
yeah, we're gonna make being a subscriber is going to be a special thing with us. Yep. So we're going to try our best to treat our subscribers in a special way. All right, well, Ken, let's get into our topic this evening, and I want to tell everybody I've been looking forward to this for some time now. Really have been looking forward to this. Safe Haven baby boxes. Now, we're going to bring on here very shortly the founder of this organization. And I think we're going to get to know her and learn about the organization. So let's do that right now. And this young lady is Miss Monica Kelsey. Hi, Monica.
Hey guys, how are you?
Fine, yeah. Monica is coming to us from New Mexico tonight. So she's out and about. So we're very, very happy to have you, Monica, with us this evening. And I want to first get into. I want to also mention before we get started with on this, we've got some video that we're going to use tonight, and we're going to introduce you to one of the fire stations that am I right? This is this the #1 fire station in the country, Carmel?
This is the #1 station that's had the most babies in America.
Has had the most babies in America, and you'll understand this more as we go along here. But we've got some video. We did a full video interview with the fire chief and the community relations chief in Carmel, and so you'll be seeing that tonight. So you'll be seeing parts of it tonight, and later on we'll show you how to. Well, if you become a subscriber, we'll get you access to the full video. But it was too long to include tonight, so in its entirety. But we've got some good clips from it. So first of all, Monica, give us a little bit of your background. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Give us a little background on you.
So I was actually adopted into a family in Paulding, Ohio. And I was raised there with two amazing parents. And then after high school, I joined the United States military. That's where I got my love for firefighting. And then after that, I joined the fire service and became a firefighter and a medic. And then, of course, Safe Haven Baby Boxes was on the tail end of that. And so I've dedicated my life now to this ministry.
I got to ask you, how did you develop this love for firefighting? Where did that come from?
Well, I was in the United States Navy. And they asked me, they said, when I was signing up, I wanted to be a cop. I wanted to be a military police officer. And they're like, well, we don't have any of those that are your height because I'm like 5 foot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so they were like, well, you can be a fireman, and I'm like, oh, cool. Sign me up for that. So the rest is history.
Is that right? I'll be darned. That's interesting. Now, I understand, though. So this firefighting plays a very important role, if I'm correct here, on how you came across this concept of these baby boxes. Am I right? You want to tell us about how that developed?
Yeah, I was actually, being a firefighter and a medic, I know firsthand what happens inside these firehouses and how some of the runs will just destroy you mentally, and some that will actually just make your heart swell. And so being in the fire service is one of those things that I think you have to have an in to be in with them. I don't know if that makes any sense to you or not, but being a firefighter, I'm in these firehouses all the time now. We install baby boxes in fire stations and hospitals because there's medical personnel on the other side of that wall. And there has to be medical personnel on the other side of the wall because these are newborn babies that most are not born in hospitals. So we have to have medical personnel. And so I'm going to be in a firehouse tomorrow for probably 6 hours. And it's almost home for me to be back into some of these fire stations across this country, just getting to know these guys. And they know that I've been where they are. And I appreciate the work that they do.
Where did you see your first baby box?
So I was actually on a speaking tour in Cape Town, South Africa,
Right, okay.
when I seen the very first baby safe in the side of a wall. And I was so intrigued with it because being a firefighter, I knew that there was a safe haven law in America, but I had never seen anything like this before. And as I'm walking into this church, I look to my left and I'm like, what is this and what is it used for? And they said, well, women bring their babies here at night. They place their child in it and someone from the church adopts a child. And I'm like, why is this not in America? I mean, we're finding babies at the doors of fire stations and hospitals and dumpsters and trash cans. Could this work in America? And so on the flight back from Cape Town, South Africa, on a Delta napkin, I hand drew my version of the baby box and then started the uphill battle of implementing it here in America.
Wow. On the back of a napkin, huh?
I still have that napkin too.
I bet you do. I would assume you've got it framed, right?
I actually have it in a baggie and it has a ketchup stain on it. I got to figure out how to get the ketchup stain on it before I stick it out there.
All right. Well, I mentioned we went to the Carmel fire station 345, and that's kind of a special station, right? In your organization. You want to tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll kind of we got a little video snippet here right after this.
Yeah, Carmel Fire, when I first started talking with Carmel, I was so impressed by these guys because their heart is so into this. But they became home of Safe Haven Baby Box number 7 in the nation. Tomorrow I will bless box number 205. So you can see they've been in this for a long time alongside me. Interesting enough, they actually made a guide for their guys. Now, this was early on. Box number 7, I'm way advanced now at 205, but back then we were still trying to get all of our stuff together. And they made this binder in they called it a provider guide. And that provider guide today is in every fire station across America that has a baby box. But those guys are amazing. Another thing too is when I was putting this box in Carmel, I was actually criticized because people were like, why are we putting a box in Carmel? This is the wealthiest city in Indiana, the 45th wealthiest city in America. Do you really think this is a good use of resources?
Right.
And I look back at that now and I think they've had 4 infants in their box. Yes. Heck yes, it was the best use of my resources. So they do hold the record in America for the most babies in their box.
Amazing.
Wow, that's really something. Well, let's meet the 2 chiefs in Carmel and kind of start to understand what they're all about down there. So let me see if I can bring this up here.
Gentlemen, thank you for being here today and giving me this opportunity to talk about the Safe Haven baby boxes.
Thank you for the wonderful opportunity. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's good to be able to sit down with a couple of dedicated fire people and understand what it is about the Safe Haven program that has gotten you guys involved here at the station. And if you want to just tell me how that all started and some of the things that were important to you to get done, and I'll leave it up to you guys to kind of go ahead and tell your story.
Sure. In 2018, Monica Kelsey met with the fire chief and I in his office to explain her program. That was like September. And I can quickly say that there was no question in our mind we were wanted to do this program for sure. We looked at each other and said, why would we not do this program? And there was no answer at all. It was a wonderful program. So that was September. In November, we began to put the paperwork together to purchase the box, get the funding and that together. And then our box went live, in a sense, on December 28, 2018.
Okay, very, very good. That's how they got started. And Ken, I know you. For those, we didn't mention this, but Ken Kashuba did this video and interviewed the 2 chiefs. And you've said many times that you could really tell the enthusiasm, right, Ken?
Oh yeah, the heart and passion was evident from the very beginning. Both of these chiefs were just, they jumped in feet first. You could tell. Yeah,
they seem to be very, very supportive of the program. So now let's go back to them and get an idea of how the community responded to doing this baby box project. So let's go back and take a look at what they had to say about that.
The response in our community, the one thing that society is not short on today is opinions. for or against, positive or negative, everyone's got an opinion. And so while we knew that this was a good program and that it was about promoting the safety, the two most vulnerable populations in our society are the very old and the very young. And the difference between the two, the very old can speak, they have a voice. The very young, these infants, they do not have a voice. The only voice they have is to cry. And they let you know that something's wrong. But outside of that, it's a process of elimination to try to figure it out. And so this program helps advocate for those children. It helps advocate for the process. And it's about making certain that their lives are taken care of.
Dale, I want to add too that I know that we didn't have enough time to play the full clip of that on the community, but they added at the very end that at a town meeting, the community didn't like the program. He hesitated for a minute and said they loved the program.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Cool. Good. Yeah, I thought David's comments about the two facets of our society, the elderly and the young, and
given a voice.
The elderly have the voice, but the young do not. And I thought that was such a very good insight. Yep. So, Monica, I know you've told me in other interviews and interactions that you've had with other people that there's always a lot of questions about the babies, about the infants. And you want to tell us a little bit about what goes into the process and when a baby gets deposited in the box?
Yeah. So one thing that we want to make sure that everyone knows is that these boxes are a last resort option. This is not the first thing that we want a parent to choose. This is the last thing that we want them to choose. Basically, they've exhausted a parenting plan and an adoption plan. And so when they get to this point, they are freaking out. And so a lot of these babies that come through our program are not born in hospitals. These are the babies that are going to go in dumpsters or trash cans if there is not a way for a parent to get anonymity. And we both know that anonymity and confidentiality is two different things. Confidentiality means if I know your identity, I'm not going to tell anyone. Anonymity means I don't know who you are. I don't know your skin color. I don't know whether you're man or I don't see you. And so these parents today, some will walk into fire stations or some will walk into hospitals and get confidentiality, and we still want that to happen. But if they won't walk in, we want these moms to choose the baby box. Now, once the baby is placed inside the baby box has a set of alarms that are already going off. Mom doesn't have to touch anything on this box except open the door, place her infant inside, shut the door, and she just walks away. Once that baby is in that box, the outside door locks. Now, there's a series of alarms. These alarms are not connected to each other, so if one was to fail, the second one would certainly pick up. These babies, on average, are inside our baby boxes less than 2 minutes.
That's amazing.
So they're not in there very long. And all of 4 of Carmel Fire Department's babies were actually pulled in right around a minute. So you can see how fast these alarms go, but we need to get these babies in the arms of medical personnel immediately because, again, these babies are not born in hospitals, and we want to make sure that their safety and the safety of their mom or their dad is our number one priority.
Just in case anyone's wondering, even when a fire station is out fighting a fire, there's still a person or persons at the fire station, right? It's not that the station's empty.
Well, sometimes the station is empty. I mean, if there's a fire, everybody's leaving. But remember, these boxes call 911 on their own.
Okay.
So I've designed them almost like the life alert button that are around elderly people's necks. So if you fall, if your grandma falls, she can just push that button and 911 shows up. It's the same concept. And so we actually just last week had a fire station that was actually out on a fire. And yeah, and they had eyes on this. Now our protocol is 5 minutes or less, and they had eyes on that baby, and that baby was in their arms in under 5 minutes. And they had to head back to the fire station because the station gets notified. 911 dispatch gets notified that there's a baby there, and then they send people back.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Amazing. Yep.
Yeah.
Technology.
I want to talk about. We're going to show another clip here of the two chiefs talking about when they got their first baby, and there was a term that was used: "angels carrying the bassinet," and I can't remember. Ken, is that a phrase in this clip or not?
I don't know. I don't think they use the actual term angels. I can't remember exactly, but he does talk about obviously the firemen. So it's referenced. I just don't. I don't remember whether it's fully the angels or not. But yeah.
But I know John Moriarty, I think, said this, that their first one he saw was it 6 Husky firemen all carrying, all had a hand on the bassinet that they were carrying.
Well, yeah, and he also said, he said that it looked like 6 angels carrying this bassinet, and that not anyone was going to harm this infant. They had this infant. All of them were, and this bassinet. Just to give you some clarity, this bassinet is not very big. So to have 6 guys holding on to this, carrying this infant out, which one guy could do by himself. It just shows you how committed they are and how much that they really truly believe in what they're doing with this baby box, which is saving lives.
Good. Yes. Okay. Let's take a look at this clip on John and David talking about the first baby that they got.
I got up, I started across the back parking lot here at Station 345, and as I came across the parking lot, the captain here called me and said, "We have a real baby." So I started running, and of course they all loved that later. We talked about it because I have 2 metal hips, and I'm not that fast. But anyway, that's another story. But as I came in the back door, I saw the firefighters with the bassinet and the baby in it going out the door and making the turn to go out where the trucks are. And I tell everyone, at that moment in my life, I thought this is one of the greatest pictures I've ever seen in my life, because they all had a hand on the bassinet, all 6 of them, and it's like nothing's going to happen to that baby. They were as excited as I was, and I wish I'd taken a picture. That's what I missed. But they all went to the ambulance. They treated the baby here and prepared for transport. And then when they got to the ambulance, they separated, but some went to the hospital and some stayed here to reset the box and clean it up in that. And then I followed them to the hospital, and then what we do is, like I said, we meet with the staff there. They begin to treat the baby at the hospital. We have a surrender form that they complete there, and that stays with the baby's medical record, and we keep a copy for our records as well. And then we've kind of explained how the baby would go to the NICU, and that part would continue. But what I did was we stayed with the baby that afternoon, and I got my wife up there to be with it. The chief was with the baby, as well as Monica. And then that evening, I came back to the station. Once they put the baby down kind of for the night with the nurses and the doctors and that, I came back to the station to make sure this was all set, and they had reset the baby box. And I asked the firefighters, who did that. Of course, no one would own up to cleaning it up, but I just wanted to thank them for it. And then it was very neat that they all kind of approached me and said, at that time, we'd only had 1 alarm in the station, audible alarm. And they began to ask me in the hallway, "Hey, Chief, can we put another one in the dorm and one in where the trucks are, and then one by the dining area and the weight room as well?" And so I said, "Absolutely, by all means." But I just thought the way it drew the interest up was really touched my heart as well. Then they told me, "Hey, Chief, we want to let you know we made a birthday cake for the baby." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, where's it at?" And they said, "It's in the kitchen." So I go in the kitchen, there's this big pan, the cake, and they said we put sprinkles on it as well for him, which is really cool. And I said, "Well, thank you." And I said, "Who ate half of it?" And they said, "Well, he'd want us to eat it." So, it's just little things like that touch your heart. And then I begin to see the involvement, obviously, questions coming back at me and that stuff like that as well, which is really important. From the very beginning, we provided training for all the firefighters. Even outside agencies came in. We brought all the dispatchers down. So when they get the call, when they receive the signal from this, dispatch would know themselves. They could picture having brought them in here and showed them how it all worked. When they're receiving that call, they know what's going on as well. I wanted all the areas covered that we could possibly cover.
You gotta love him.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. But yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Monica.
I was just gonna say you have to love them. I mean, Chief Moriarty on our social media, it has been dubbed America's favorite fire chief because he's so passionate. He's just so genuine. Both chiefs are just amazing.
Okay. Yes. They sure seem like it. Ken, before we go on here, I know we got a clip coming up here on the Senate bill that got passed, and I have seemed to have lost that. Can you be looking? Do you have that you could?
I'll go look for it while you and Monica continue. Okay.
Yes, if you would, please.
Sure.
Hey, Monica, I wanted to move to the moms now and talk about the moms because they're very important, obviously, in this whole process. And we've got a clip here of the two chiefs talking about the moms. But tell us about what your concerns and the focus that you wanted to put on the moms involved here.
Well, with my background along comes the reality of I was abandoned as an infant by my biological mother. And I knew that I wanted to make sure that we took care of them. I got to meet my biological mother when I was 37 years old, and I got to understand a little bit of the crisis that she was in. And so I wanted to take my focus, not only saving the lives of these children, but also saving their moms as well, with also understanding that this is not without pain. A child is saved. A set of adoptive parents are getting a call that they've been waiting for a child, and the child has become available. And a birth mom's life goes on, but again, it's not without pain. And so we really focus on these moms. We got a free counseling service for them that a lot of them take advantage of, and they can do it anonymously. They can keep their camera off. Basically, they do a HIPAA compliant Zoom without the camera. They also can get free medical care. Those are two of the most important things that we can offer these moms immediately to make sure that they're going to be okay and that they're going to find peace in their decision. Because if they can find peace in their decision, then I think everyone can find peace in that decision, especially the child.
Great. So the moms leaving the baby, they're not forgotten in this whole process, is what you're saying.
No, they're actually probably, if not the most important. I mean, it's baby and mom. Those are the two most important parts of our program, is taking care of them both.
Okay, great. Well, we got another clip here from the two chiefs talking about the moms. So let's go, let's take a look at that, and we'll be right back.
Obviously, the officials in the city were all on board.
Mm-hmm.
My question would be, were there any city or state regulations that you had to get changed or overcome in order to proceed with the program?
Quite frankly, the heavy lifting to get the program up and running was really done by Monica Kelsey and by their nonprofit and their foundation. And so I believe that we were the seventh box. And so I'll let Chief Moriarty jump in here and talk about that a little bit and give you some background there.
We were number 7. The installation took about, I want to say maybe 2 weeks. They delivered the box at, I believe, the end of November. They began the installation in the early part of December, and it went active December 28th of 2018. I'm sorry. And then we began to put the program together. As you can see behind me, my wife and I, my wife had the idea of putting the changing table there to make the process a lot easier to work. When the firefighters took the baby out of the box in the bassinet, placed it on the changing table, and then they hit the button on the wall. That's one of our other alarm systems. But Monica went on to put baby boxes. We were the 7th of, I believe, there's 21 in the state of Indiana. And then
that number is always growing.
Always growing, yeah. As I told you just the other day, she informed me that she was blessing the 200th box. And I believe they're in at least 12, if not 14 states throughout the country right now. We hope one day we'll have one in every state, city, and town.
If you would go ahead and describe the process that happens when someone goes ahead and places a baby in the box.
So when the mother opens the door, a silent alarm goes to our dispatch center up in Hamilton County. It sends the signal to them. They immediately dispatch this station where the baby box is at. And also in the station, we have audible alarm system where a light goes off, it's a blue light, and then a sounding audible alarm goes off, and it lets that, we have one of those in the weight room, in the day room, or dining room, the bay area, and the dormitory. And that way, pretty much those are the most occupied rooms in the station. It'll let the firefighters know it's going off. And it's blue to separate it from the other alarms, fire alarms within the station. And so they'll receive those alarms when dispatch gets that alarm when the door is open. The mother or father who's ever placing the baby would not hear anything. They'd simply open the door, place the baby, and shut the door. Once they shut the door is locked. It will not open. So for example, people's asked several times, if the mother went around to the bay door and knocked on the door and wanted the baby back, they would not give the baby back. So people are aware of that. What they would do is inform the mother that the baby is now in their custody and they're going to treat and transport the baby to the hospital. But the mother, they'd make sure she was taken care of, give her first aid or anything she would need. They would let her know we will transport her to the hospital as well, and that she could go back to the courts if she wanted to try to get the baby back that way. She'd have like 30 to 45 days to do that. Another thing we have in the baby box is an orange bag. This came from Monica Kelsey's company, the Safe Haven Baby Box Program. And in that bag is all the instructions for the mom. When she opens the door to place the baby, she sees the bag that says, please take me. And that 3 of our 4 mothers took those bags. The bag has an explanation sheet in it that explains how to treat herself, if she needs help, how to get help, phone numbers to call, and then more additional information for financial help. It's a wonderful packet that explains to the mother what she can do to follow up. And it also explains the fact that she has 30 to 45 days to go, petition the courts to get the baby back as well.
Okay. Well, it sure sounds like you got all the bases covered there, Monica. I'll tell you, they certainly do a good job.
They really do. Carmel, the community of Carmel has some of the best firefighters working at that fire station. They should be really proud.
Yep. Ken, were you able to locate that?
I believe I got what you're looking for, Dale. Hold on here, and I'll get that up for you right
Okay,
about.
Hold on.
So
Just a second.
you mentioned obviously the officials in the city were all on board.
Mm-hmm.
My question would be, were there any city or state regulations that you had to get changed or overcome in order to proceed with the program?
Quite frankly, the heavy lifting to get the program up and running was really done by Monica Kelsey and by their nonprofit and their foundation. And so I believe that we were the 7th box. And so I'll let Chief Moriarty jump in here and talk about that a little bit and give you some background there.
We were number 7. The installation took about, I want to say maybe 2 weeks. They delivered the box at, I believe, the end of November. They began the installation in the early part of December, and it went active December 28th of 2018. I'm sorry. And then we began to put the program together. As you can see behind me, my wife and I, my wife had the idea of putting the changing table there to make the process a lot easier to work. When the firefighters took the baby out of the box in the bassinet, placed it on the changing table, and then they hit the button on the wall. That's one of our other alarm systems. But Monica went on to put baby boxes. We were the 7th of, I believe, there's 21 in the state of Indiana. And then
that number is always growing.
Always growing, yeah. As I told you just the other day, she informed me that she was blessing the 200th box. And I believe they're in at least 12, if not 14 states throughout the country right now. We hope one day we'll have one in every state, city, and town.
If you would go ahead and describe the process that happens when someone goes ahead and places a baby in the box.
So when the mother opens the door, it's a
Okay, Ken, I think we got the Ken. Are you there?
I think we
got the wrong video.
wrong video in there. Yep.
Yeah.
That.
All right, I'm going to put Monica really on the spot here because Indiana Senate Bill 345, which was basically named after the, or as it turns out, it had the same number as the Carmel Fire Station, 345. Can you tell us how the role that this has played in your operation? What was this piece of legislation about?
So Safe Haven Baby Boxes, when I first started this, I wanted these babies that we were getting to be placed with a family immediately. And then through the years, I found out that the Department of Child Services places them in foster care for 30 to 45 days and then places them with a forever family. I wanted to change that. I wanted to make sure that these babies bonded with their parents. So Senate Bill 345 allowed for the state of Indiana to either place a child, and it comes down to the location that gets the infant. They can choose to place the child with the Department of Child Services, or they can choose an adoption agency that's already vetted by the state. And so Senate Bill 345 allows that to happen so that as soon as a baby is placed in our box, the adoptive family is going to be at the hospital within probably 12 hours. And so there is an immediate bond. You know, one thing that we've seen with the program prior to Senate Bill 345 is the fire department was getting a baby in their box. They were doing everything that, you know, medically that they needed to. And then they were taking the baby to the hospital and placing the baby in the custody of the hospital. And then nobody was there with this infant. So this infant literally sat in this crib being fed and loved on by nurses when they were able to. But we all know that nurses today they have so many patients. But these babies were basically laying by themselves, and it almost made us feel like we were abandoning them at the hospital. And so we wanted to make sure that we could stay there and love on these babies until their adoptive family got there, so this baby would never be alone. There are a lot of issues with this. We're still trying to work through the legalities of allowing an adoption agency to do this. One of the big things is cost. Adoption agencies are not regulated, and so they can pretty much charge whatever they want to an adoptive family. And I have a problem with that. I don't think we should ever be profiting off of the lives of children. So there are some things that we got to go back to the Senate and fix. But I think these babies getting to be with their forever families immediately is one of the most important things that we can do for them.
I do remember, Dale, that John was talking. I know the clip we were looking for. John goes on to say that the difference between the first baby to the second baby to the third baby to the fourth baby, by the time it got to the baby where the bill had taken effect, and they were the first firehouse, I believe, Monica, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were the first firehouse to actually have a baby processed under the new bill. Yes. And what he went on to tell me was, without DCES being involved at this point, being taken out of the picture, that baby was placed within 16 hours with its adopted family. I mean, that's just amazing.
That is amazing, Monica. What? For my first question is, give us an idea. What are some of the charges assessed for adopting a child today? What is the cost?
So there is a attorney fees. Obviously, we got attorney fees, you got court costs, and you have homesteady fees. Those are your three main things that every adoptive parent has to pay for. There's also adoption agencies that put an adoption agency fee on there. I have went through every adoption agency that is at LCPA in the state of Indiana, and I have asked them for their fee structure, and I've given it to the fire stations because I want them to know that there are some adoption agencies out there that are charging $35,000, and then there's some adoption agencies out there that are charging $5,000.
Is that right? Really?
Yeah. And so as somebody that was adopted and fights every day for these babies, we should not be profiting off of the backs of these babies. And basically all I'm doing is, we're taking the baby from a box or from a mother's arms, handing this child to an adoption agency. They've done no work. They've done no resourcing with the parents, with the biological parents. They're just basically receiving an infant and charging a family whatever they want. And so I'm hoping that this summer we can get a adoption study done on Indiana, because I mean, one of these babies that we placed last year cost the adoptive family paid between $40,000 and $55,000, and that's unacceptable.
Wow, my goodness! And I think the adoption, whenever you talk about abortion, that whole concept, that whole topic, improving the ability to adopt these children is so important to me. It just seems to me. You're in a number of other states now, or do you run into this same kind of legislative challenge in other states as well?
Well, I'm in New Mexico right now, and actually last week we had a baby in one of our boxes here in New Mexico, in Belen, New Mexico. And interesting enough, the Department of Child Services, it's called CYFD here in New Mexico, they actually launched an investigation to try and find this parent that placed in our baby box. Now, our baby boxes work because of the anonymity of them. Right. No one sees the parent put them in. And so I went public with this. I've been fighting CYFD. They said that there is a Abuse and Neglect Act that they have to investigate. This child was not abused. This child was under the legal age of surrender. And it's like they're just trying to stick their nose in where it doesn't belong. And it's I've told them last week, I've told them this week, they need to stay in their lane. We got this covered. Stay in your lane. Let's place this child with a set of parents that want this child, that love this child. And then, after that, then, if this child is abused, though, let me just say this. If this child is abused, I would be handing this parent's name to them without a doubt, because we are not a cover up for abuse at all. And this parent deserves to be prosecuted. But when a parent does everything right and loves this child so much that she wraps this baby in a blanket, makes sure he's clean, places him in a box, knowing that there's firefighters on the other side, and then CYFD comes and tries to find her, it's unacceptable. So I'm working hard in other states to make sure that these mothers get the anonymity that they deserve and that they've been asking for many years.
Now, the adoptive agency does vet the prospective parents, right? I mean,
correct.
That is part of what they do. And so you're basing then the prospective parents, you're basing your determination on the recommendation of the adopting agency?
So the adoption agency basically has control of the infant.
They take control of that then, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Now the home study. So when somebody does a home study, they're looked at financially. They're looked at background checks. Average for that's about $2,500 in the state of Indiana. Attorney fees are going to cost you probably another $2,500, maybe $4,000, and then your court costs. So all of those costs together should be no more than $10,000. But you can see that an adoption agency is charging between 40 and 55. We have a huge problem here. Somebody's making money.
Yeah. That's too
Unfortunately, it's always the money trail, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're gone national now, right? I mean, you're well on your way to national. What states are you in? Where are you now? What are you looking at? What more states are you looking at getting into?
So the one that I've been looking at for a very long time is the state of Texas. We are getting ready to launch in the state of Texas. Last year, they had 33 abandoned babies just in 1 year in one state. And so we have to be where that's happening because these parents are asking for anonymity. But we're all the way in New Mexico, all the way down to Florida and Mississippi and Alabama, all the way up to Pennsylvania, North Carolina, of course, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Arkansas, Iowa, Oklahoma. I mean, we are launching nationwide every couple of months. I'm launching in a new state. We're going to be launching in Kansas this year, of course, Texas this year, probably Montana this year. And I think there's 8 states working on legislation. So when you have something so successful, which is what Indiana has done, we have been very successful with this program. We've had a total of, I think, 28 infants in boxes just in Indiana alone. And that's just over the last 7 years. So the process in Indiana has worked. Other states are looking at us and saying, hey, what are you doing? What do we need to do to get there? And they're changing their laws to allow us to come in. But you also do have the states that are fighting it. New York, they're fighting us. Illinois, they're fighting us. California, they're fighting us. Florida, interesting enough, we have boxes in Florida. They're fighting us. And so it never ends with the controversy of some people saying, well, this is just a pro-life bill that we're trying to get passed. And it's like, no, these babies are born. They're going to go in a dumpster or a trash can, or they're going to go in my box. Now, which one do you choose? If you want to take the side of pro-life and pro-choice, you're going to miss the entire point of this program. And that is to save the life of a child that is already here. We can have the discussion on pro-life and pro-choice when a child is in the womb, but my ministry focuses on when they are here. And that's what we're trying to do, is save those lives.
Now, you use the term ministry. You do look upon this as a ministry, don't you?
I do. I was born, and I guess I wasn't born in the church, but I was raised in the church. My adoptive parents instilled a lot of values in me when I was younger. And so we actually do what we call blessing of the box at every opening. And we have a pastor that comes and prays over it.
Really?
We also take no government funds or no state funds, because if I want to pray with a mom on our hotline, we're going to pray with a mom on our hotline, and no one's going to tell us we can't. And so we're trying to do this ourselves with the help of people that want to be the hands and feet of Christ. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of people across this country that are stepping up and helping in a way that I've never seen before.
Wow, boy, that's good news. That's good news.
Yeah.
How do you know how many how many babies are given up?
Surrendered.
How many are surrendered? Who keeps that record?
We do. So every location, they sign a contract with us, and they have to follow a certain set of guidelines, which is testing and cleaning the box and a bunch of guidelines. Well, one of the things also is if they get a baby in their box, they have to call us within 2 hours.
Well, you said Texas. I'm sorry to interrupt. You said Texas had 33 babies surrendered.
Abandoned. These babies, most of them died. These were left out in the cold, left it in trash cans.
How did you find that number? Who does a state, or how are those numbers determined? Do you know?
That number, well, we keep track of them by media reports, but that actually number came from the Department of Health.
I see. All right. That's what I was. And obviously, for you to go into a state to do this, there's got to be legislation in place that allows you to do this, right?
Yes, and we're finding out now that legislation has to be in place, and directing the Department of Child Services and CYFD to stay in their lane, because New Mexico we launched in New Mexico in a gray area where there wasn't any legislation saying we could have baby boxes, but there wasn't anything saying we couldn't. And so we're in a gray area here. And so CYFD, or the Department of Child Services, as they're known mostly throughout the country, basically doesn't have to stay in their lane, because they're not put in their lane and made sure that they stay out of my lane. And so we have to pass legislation to protect these parents, and make sure that they're not prosecuted, and that the Department of Child Services doesn't go rogue and just start prosecuting these moms because they think they've done something illegal or wrong.
All right.
Monica, can I get a quick question in here with Dale?
Yeah.
Monica, do you anticipate with the problem we have at our southern border today? And I don't know whether you have any numbers to substantiate this at this point, but do you anticipate the number of babies being on the rise based on the amount of people that are coming across our border. I mean, we don't know how many are pregnant or, delivering a baby after they're here. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on the rise of the amount of people that are coming across our border, whether you're going to see an increase.
Well, I'll tell you, the number one ethnicity for children abandoned in the state of Texas is of Hispanic descent. And so that could be one of two things. They do have a huge population of Hispanic, but there are also people coming across the border. I really think that is part of the problem down there. I don't think we can ignore that. I think people are coming across and don't know our laws or don't care about our laws.
Yeah.
But one thing that we have to do is when we put boxes in Texas is we have to have them in Spanish speaking communities. The signs need to be in Spanish. The literature needs to be in Spanish. And we need to make sure that everyone knows about Safe Haven baby boxes. And one good thing that we've done is we are everywhere. We are on every news outlet. We are educating. We are bringing awareness to this problem. And hopefully the people that are on that border or coming from other countries are seeing this on social media as well.
Yeah. Got to get the word out. Mm-hmm.
We will certainly do our part here as best we can to make people aware. Monica, this has been great. Would you come back for another session at a later time?
Absolutely. You let me know.
All right. Monica, thank you so much for coming on tonight and talking with us. It's been very, very good broadcast for us this evening. So,
well, Dale and Ken, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That was good, Ken.
Yep. It's a very interesting program. Yep.
Very informative. Yes, sir. Well, Ken, let's talk a little bit about our Surge Day coming up. Like I said, we've got the Surge Day coming up on February 22nd. And we got a little short video that we'd like to play about our Surge Day. So one more time here. Here we go. All right.
Just a couple days away. It's hard to believe.
It is just a couple days away, isn't it? Yeah, yep. That's for sure. Well, Ken, let's see what we got coming up here. I wanted to talk a bit about, Ken, do you want to, believe it or not, we're a minute or two ahead of schedule here tonight. Do you want to talk mention again about the QRC code?
Sure enough, Dale. The QR code is there for you to scan to get to become a supporter and a subscriber of COS Indiana Live. The platform is up and running. It's a regular platform where we have a lot of different things that are now incorporated into it to really make it interesting. Not only to talk about things that are coming up, so future programming, like more programming with Monica Kelsey and others that we've got planned. As those come about, we will be adding those events to the platform, so you'll know ahead of time. If you want to see more of things like you've seen tonight, you'll get that information, as well as a lot of educational and additional resources like the videos, as we talked about the full interview. I really wish we had time to even play I don't think we even touched a tenth of what the interview with the two firefighters was, and they were two amazing guys. So if you want to see the full video, you can catch it here with this link, or as a subscriber, we will be posting it there for full view of the full video. So
yeah, that's like a 30-minute or so video. So
about 30 minutes, yeah, about 30-minute interview, and there's a little bit more detail. And they actually, I'll give you a little teaser. They tell a story about the actual first alarm that went off in that firehouse, and I won't disclose any more. But
Yes, that's
obviously
it.
they had a baby. But there's another interesting story about the first alarm that went off at that firehouse. So
Well, they were babies. They were babies.
they were babies. Yeah, they were babies. If that'll give you a hint. But it's a neat story, and again, both those firefighters fully on board, fully passionate, and their hearts are there, and you know they're as they told me in the interview a number of times, they are in the business of saving lives. It's not political either way. The only thing that they're there for is the safety and well-being of people. So they're people persons, and it was a fun interview to do, because these guys, you know, you see the life behind the scenes of these firefighters, and that's what they're there for. They every day in and day out, they're there to save lives.
Well, when two chiefs, I refer to them as two chiefs.
Two chiefs.
When they take the time to sit down and talk to you, I think that's evidence that they're very, very dedicated to this program.
They want to get the story out. Yep.
They sure do. Yep. All right. So the full we'll make that the full video, full interview we'll make available to subscribers. So folks, you definitely want to scan that QR code and become a subscriber to COS Indiana Live. Well, let's talk about what's coming up, Ken. Now, next Monday, being the fourth Monday of the month, every fourth Monday, we dedicate the format of the program to a roundtable discussion. And we've got a very interesting one coming up here. It's going to be on election voting machines. I don't know why that's a popular topic. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but well, since 2024 is an election year, I thought we ought to be talking about this. So John Arkelman, our host, is going to, he has two individuals here from Indiana that are very, very much into, I guess you would call they're into the election integrity concept, the whole program.
Yeah.
But they're very they seem to be very interesting people. I'm really looking forward to this. So this will be coming up next Monday. That'll be our roundtable broadcast on February 26th, election voting machines. All right.
Yep.
Then the next live broadcast that we do, like we did tonight, will be coming up on March 4th, the following Monday. And right now, we're going to have the state directors from Minnesota are going to appear. Now, you notice that's the word is plural because they do have two.
There you go.
And so we'll see how that works out for them. And get
we at one time did as well, Dale. We for a bit there. You had a co-state director. It was a very, very short-lived experiment.
Yes, it only lasted a few months.
We went down that road.
David Waters was co-state director. So when it was the two of us that took over from Diane Gomez. So
yeah, there you go.
Yep. So it is, and I think there are some other states that have co-state directors too. But Minnesota is one of the states in our region. So I wanted to get all the state directors on COS Indiana Live at one time or another. So these two would be the last state to appear on our broadcast. So Ken, that is a wrap for tonight, and we will. Like I said, we'll be back next Monday evening for the roundtable, and we'll close out this evening with our favorite Mark Meckler video on "I'll Keep Fighting." And once that video ends, then the broadcast will end for tonight. So, thank you very much, Ken, for everything.
Thank you, Dale.
And you have a good evening, folks. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We've enjoyed having you, and I hope you enjoyed this broadcast. I want to do more programs like we've done tonight. I want us to find more and more organizations like Safe Haven Baby Boxes that we may not have heard of before, but that are out there doing the job and trying to make our country better and save our country, quite honestly.
Yep. It's all part of that, all part of the grassroots drive. And if we can help an organization like Monica's, that's what we're trying to do.
Exactly. That's right. Okay, then let's go to our video, and good night, everyone. See you next week.
I struggle to empathize with people who would give up. It doesn't make sense to me. Sam Adams said, for those of you who prefer safety and security over liberty, over the animating fight for liberty, I hope that you enjoy licking the hands that feed you. May your chains rest lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you are our countrymen. Like, do you understand that your kids and you are sentencing your kids and your grandkids and your friends' kids and your neighbors' kids to a lifetime of slavery and servitude, literally, of fear, of living in the darkness? But never, ever, never, never, never give up. George Washington lost the majority of his battles that he fought in the American Revolution. If you read his writings, if you read the letters where he was writing to Congress asking for money and troops, he was saying, we're losing. I don't have the troops I need. I don't have the supplies I need. Did he quit? What about the guys on the beach at Normandy? Like, what did they do? Did they just quit? Oh, there's, a lot of guys are dying around me. It's really bad. It looks really dismal. Those cliffs are huge. Machine gun fire raining down on us. And it's too hard. We should just quit. Thank God those people didn't quit. If they had, where would we be? I get discouraged, for sure. And I will quit fighting at some point. And that point is when the first shovel of dirt hits the top of my box 6 feet down.